I've seen the change. I mean, my therapist has seen the change. Phil has seen the change. I mean, I'm not perfect, but
I've seen the change.
you've seen the change.
I have, girl.
It better. But it's an investment in yourself, and
yeah.
I would never, because I even graduated, and I was like, oh no, I'm still coming.
Right. I call it maintenance. You know, when I tell my clients,
Yes.
like, it's
just like a
time,
check-in.
right? You have the skills, you have the tools, go. And they're like, no, like, I'm coming once a month. I'm coming every 3 months because I need that maintenance work, right? Intensive therapy for couples can be a transformative approach to strengthening relationships. Hey everyone, welcome to Inner Solace mini-series. My name is Valerie Rivera and I'm a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Texas, and I am also the owner of Inner Solace Therapy. Today we get to chat with Carina Veale, who will share her experiences with mental health and the profound ways it shapes her day-to-day life, plus how it has strengthened her relationships. Hey Carina.
Hello, Valerie. Hello, Valerie.
So you and I have known each other for many years.
Yes.
Throw it back to high school, middle school, maybe?
I don't think middle. I think it was freshman year. Like 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
So are you 42?
Yes, but nobody knew that until right now.
Okay, well, we're 42, and so we've known each other since we're 14.
Yep, about.
Oh my gosh.
A long time.
We look the same, by the way.
We do. So we've known each other for a very long time. We used to get me in trouble in English class when we were in high school. Good times.
Oh my gosh. Did you know that we showed Miss Valdez a house?
No.
Do you remember Cynthia Valdez?
Yes, I do.
I was like, oh my God.
Shout out to Miss Valdez for putting up with us.
Anyways, it was so crazy.
So let's talk a little bit about how our friendship has transformed over the years, right? Most recently recently a few years back, I reached out to you. You're a realtor, and you helped me sell my home that I had lived in for 15 years, helped me get into a new home. And through that process, we became closer.
Yes.
And I recall the very first time that you felt very comfortable in calling me and sharing what you were going through at the time. So I was in the line of Chick-fil-A getting some food, and you called me crying, and you were kind of telling me a little bit about what you were experiencing mentally at the time. And so tell me a little bit about what that was like for you when you think about mental health and what people don't see behind the scenes for you.
So I was, oh my gosh, I don't even know what I was struggling, but I think it was just like transitioning into my new job or my new career, and then motherhood. And then I think I've always kind of felt that I had mental health. There was something there back when I had Camilla postpartum. And I worked through that when she was little, but fast forward and now was 13, and something just triggered it. I don't know what it was, but by the time we reconnected, I think that's when it was like rock bottom. Like, and I needed somebody, and it was like, let me just call Valerie because this is what she does. And then I even think I said, well, can you see me? You're like, no, I can't. I was like, okay, fine. I'll go somewhere else.
Yes.
I'll take my money somewhere else.
So when you are friends, right, I can't professionally see you because we're friends, and that's against all sorts of ethics.
Yes.
Right. But what we did talk about was really, I think what I wanted to do is support you in trying to find someone that could help you, somebody that could help you through that process. And so you are an entrepreneur, you are a mother, you are a wife, a daughter, you are all sorts of things, right? You're a friend. And so I think that when you have multiple roles, it really impacts all of those relationships as well.
Yes.
Right.
And I want to say that even, I'll take it a step further, because I was actually telling Phil this the other day, because now that I have my broken foot and a messed up knee, I feel like I have to, right now, my mental health is like, I really have to focus and use compensatory strategies because sometimes I feel so defeated. But I was telling him in real estate, like, not only am I a mom, a daughter, and I have to navigate everything going on with my dad and my kids and Trey being at college, but I also am a real estate agent. And I'm working with, let's call 15 clients at one time under contract and navigating that. But it's not just them, it's them and their spouse. So if you can imagine, on a daily basis, I'm dealing with 30 people plus my office, plus the team, plus everything else. And let me tell you, it can get crazy.
Yes.
Very
So
fast.
you are my real estate agent, and I remember telling you. I remember I messaged you like at 10:30 at night, and it was one of those things where I'm gonna forget this in the morning, and I didn't think to write it down, so I messaged you. But I did not expect you to respond, and you did. You responded within seconds, and I said, "Stop working right now. You need
And
to
I
get
was
off
like,
your
stop
phone."
texting me.
Yes. Then don't text me. But the thing that we talked about, I think the most, is boundaries, right? How do you establish those boundaries between your relationships, your personal relationships, and your professional relationships? So let's kind of talk a little bit about how that may have impacted. So you work with Phil. Phil is your husband,
Yes.
right? You all work together. You both are business owners of VP Realty. But I would imagine that if you didn't have a strong foundation with Phil, right, that this may have impacted your relationship in one way or another. And I don't know if it did, right? But let's talk a little bit about how it may have impacted or affected maybe the connection between you and Phil, whether, you know, and it doesn't always have to be about fighting, but it could be like we're so busy in our lives that we forget to come together as a couple.
Yes, and as a family too. So I always think about that when I'm super, I mean, it's the phone goes off at literally 6 in the morning. There's always some client that is ready at 6 a.m. to text. And so I've learned it's taken a while, and not that I've been in this industry for so long. It's been maybe 7, maybe 8 years. I don't really remember. But it used to be where I was, you know, I had zero boundaries. But I think that's when you came, or when we got it, not introduced, when we came back together. And I think that's when everything was kind of crashing in. You know, for Phil and I, not that our life is real estate. So even with the business, we also have investments. So I know we're going to talk about it at work and at home, but we really try to keep it separate. You know, when we go on vacations and things like that, it's going to happen, but just respect. I respect everybody else's, you know, what they're going through in their time. And so I expect the same thing when it comes to my clients and setting those boundaries. Like, I do answer the phone. I try to, right? But I think I show respect for them, and I would expect the same. I don't even know if I answered your question.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, when you talk about how your life is so intertwined with work and your relationship with your husband, right, that can kind of, even though you all talk about the business, it can also take away from other things, right? Like, how do you romantically connect with Phil? Not in a rated R version.
I was like, when, where, time? Just kidding.
But it's true, right? Like, sometimes I remind my couples, like, you have to date. You have to,
Yes.
be friends first, and then
Yes.
you have to date each other.
Yes.
Like, how long have you been married to Phil?
For 19 years. Yes.
Long time.
And we're also getting to that stage where Camilla's going to be going away to college in 2 years. So we're going to be
Empty nesters.
And so I think about that too. And we've created a life, and we see what we're going to be. Maybe like we have a 10-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, obviously a 2 when Camilla leaves, and we know what we want to do to, you know, get to that point and how hard we need to work. But we just really, you have to be mindful. Like, you can't just let it go. Like, it has to be top of mind, because if your relationship's not great with your husband, everything else suffers. And I heard this quote, or somebody was talking about it, like, the best gift you can give your kids is a healthy relationship with your spouse. You'd be so surprised. I mean, I used to work at the schools, and like these poor kids, I mean, they're so neglected, and you know, they see abuse and their parents fighting. And so I feel like Phil and I have done such a great job providing that for our kids, like a healthy relationship. So it always stays on the forefront. Like, we have to be, and also I don't like living in chaos. You know, I don't like anybody to be mad at me in my house. You know, I want to apologize. I want to, you know, reconnect right away, because I can't live in limbo.
Right.
If that makes, it really messes with my mental health.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, well, because what you're saying is that you like to live in a place that feels safe, that feels comfortable, and that feels like there's a strong foundation, right?
Yes,
So,
because that's what home is.
yeah,
Like you
exactly.
come home to relax, and so I can't imagine there being chaos at the house. I can't deal with it. My kids know, Phil knows. It's just not going to be in my house.
Yes.
It's not tolerated if the kids have attitude, and we I don't know, we don't really fight. I don't
Right.
really think Phil and I ever, I mean, there's been maybe 3 times, and it's always my fault.
Look at
So,
you take your responsibility.
Yes, it's always me. 'Cause I'm crazy.
You're the problem. It's you.
I am the problem. It's me. Hi.
Hi. So one of the new services that I'm introducing at Inner Solace is intensives for couples. What that looks like is being able to work with couples on a longer time span, so that within a day, over frequency of 1, 2, or 3 days. And what that means is that we want to be able to provide you with the skills, with the tools to be able to communicate so that you are able to have that stable life at home. So Carina, when you talk about what you were experiencing when we first, reconnected, and all of, I would imagine that your mind felt maybe chaotic, right? With
Yes.
being pulled in various directions. How do you think that therapy for couples would have helped you at that time?
So I started going to therapy, and Phil did not go, but of course I would come home and say everything, and I think like everything that my therapist or would tell me, I would relay the message. So he's really gotten a lot out of it too, which I honestly think everybody should go to therapy. And maybe that word has like a negative connotation, so I've turned mine into, like, I call Dr. G my life coach, right? So I feel like for Phil and I'm so grateful that he was super receptive to my needs and everything I was going through at that time, because it was so hard. And people don't even talk about like the partner, the spouse.
Right.
Like, not only are you dealing with it, they also are at the other end. And if you have kids, they're having to take the kids to school and get dinner ready because you're at this mental space. So, I mean, intensive therapy is just, I think everybody, or people that go into therapy, whether it's intensive or not, or whether it's once a week or once a month, be receptive to the advice is so important. And I know they both have to be on the same page. Like, one can't be thinking this is stupid and one being like, I wanted to help.
Yeah.
They both have to be on the same page. Again, I think every relationship, there's no perfect marriage. I don't know what I would do without my therapy, and I don't think Phil would know either. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is that intensive therapy would have helped you and Phil as a couple, just to even have him be there to learn the skill, so that you don't have to translate everything that you learned in therapy and say, hey, this is what I learned, like, let's you and I try that, right?
Yes.
That is so much harder to do because you're also trying to learn it for yourself, right?
Yes.
And then you're putting the expectation on you to then translate that to Phil.
Yes.
Right?
Where he's like, well, I don't have that problem.
Right.
Or it's just like, you're going through something, and then you're going to therapy, you're learning it, you're implementing it, you're working hard, because therapy is very hard. If you're not willing to do the work, don't even do it. It's just like exercise.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to get up and go to the gym and work on your habits and eating and all that, it's the same thing. I mean, it's a commitment. I've seen the change. I mean, my therapist has seen the change. Phil has seen the change. I mean, I'm not perfect, but
I've seen the change.
you've seen the change.
I have, girl.
It better, because it costs a lot of money.
But it's an investment.
But it's an investment in yourself, and
Yeah.
I would never, because I even graduated, and I was like, oh no, I'm still coming.
Right.
Once
Yeah.
a month. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be here. You are, and he even said, how do you want to, what are we going to do then? What is your goal? And I said, I just need somebody to be there for me, or not be there for me.
Because life is like this,
Yes.
right? So you
Oh,
always,
yes.
I call it maintenance. When I tell my clients,
Yes.
like,
It's just like a
time,
check-in.
right? You have the skills, you have the tools, go, and they're like, no, like, I'm coming once a month, I'm coming every
Yes.
3 months because I need that maintenance work,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
And
so.
I have a trainer, I have a real estate coach, I have pastors on speed dial, I have, so it's an investment.
You have a whole team that
Yes.
supports you, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so just the way you take care of yourself physically, you also take care of yourself
So
mentally.
and
Yeah.
that's so huge because I
Yeah.
think it's a correlation,
Yes.
especially fitness, and then you're gonna have Jenna later. It's like it's coincides.
Yeah.
Big time. Like I think
Absolutely.
you can't just do one. I think you need to. Not I think I know. You need to incorporate both. It's just
All of it.
Yeah,
All of
for
it.
sure.
Yeah, mind, body.
Get that serotonin up.
That's right, girl. What an amazing chat we've had today with Carina. Thank you so much, Carina, for being here today. Your insights remind us of the importance of understanding empathy and the continuous effort to strengthen not just our mental well-being, but also the connections that we hold dear to our hearts, professional relationships and personal relationships. Don't forget, we are launching a brand new service at Inner Solace, and that includes intensives for couples. This new service is the only therapy program in the RGV that will teach you how to manage your day-to-day distress so that you can learn to combat or tackle your triggers in 3 days or less. Send us a message to get started on your journey towards a better you. Special thanks to Solum Coffee Roasters for hosting us at their coffee shop. Come check them out. We'll see you next time.